Now let's try handling some other elements on the web, as in if I go to a website that is echoecho.com. So on this website, there's a simple drop-down list over here. So you can see there are three values. I need to pick a value from here. I need to select a value called as cheese. Now, very first thing, whenever we are working with HTML drop-down list, we may encounter a lot of drop-downs, something like if you may go to a website, makemytrip.com. At times, it may happen that like on this website, you may need to select from and to city. So if you click on this, it also comes as a drop-down, but this is not the HTML drop-down list. As in, this is not the one that you see over here. So handling this type of list and handling this type of list, the approach is completely different, right? Because if you like right click on this and if you click on inspect, you're gonna find that this element is always a select tag, right? This is a standard HTML. Wherever you find a drop down list, even if you go to a website qa.way2automation.com, and over here you'll find a drop down list over here. If you right click inspect, and if you go over here, whichever website you look at, you'll find a drop down list is always selecting, and all the values inside drop down list is in like option tag. Same way, any website you go, if you expand it, you'll find it in option tag. But if you look at this drop down list, then if I inspect this element, if I inspect element over here, you'll find that this is input class. This is input tag basically. And if you click on this, you should be able to inspect the elements which are there inside the list, right? But if I click over here, then you can see as soon as I click on this, the list should go away. You'll not be able to select these values, through this inspect element option, right? So this is what will tell you the difference in the actual HTML drop-down list, which is basically a select tag. Now, let's say if I talk about this list itself, I need to select a value that is Germany, right? So how to select a value Germany? So what I'll be doing, I'll first create a new class. Sorry. And name it as test drop downs. And what I'll do, I'll copy some initial code from here up till here. So by default, we're going to take the implicit weight with us. And we'll work on Chrome because Chrome execution on Chrome is very, very fast. And then give the complete URL over here, right? And after this, what I need to do, I'll first inspect this element, this drop-down list. Okay, I got a name as country for this drop-down list. Let us see if this name is unique. So you can even write a XPath or a CSS, but we are just making sure this is unique or not. So I'll write the CSS and say name, name equal to country. And there's only one select tag, right? So there's only one drop-down list. So I can directly say driver.find element by .name current country .send keys, and I can give the value as Germany that I need to select. Germany, right? So if I run this, now you can see this is not a pop-up window, right? This is on the same window itself. This registration form. This is on the same window. So don't think that this is a pop-up window, it will work or not. It will definitely gonna work. And see, it selected a value that is Germany, right? So it was very easy. It was very straightforward. We can do send keys. I mean, in case you try to select any other value, I want to select, let's say, French Guinea. I mean, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'll give the exact value over here. French, and then Guiana. Guiana. Right, and let's run this. So it has selected the exact value, right? But at times it may happen that it may not select the exact value. This is because, let's say I take up one more example of drop down. This was a simple drop down list, but at times the drop down list is like this. See, this is also a drop down list, right? Although it is wrapped over the select element. If in case I inspect and I try to inspect this as well, see, this is also a select tag, right? Now what happens is, in this list, if you select any value, let's say I select dense, it shows DA over here, right? So if in case I want to select dense on this website, I'll just change the URL, and this element ID name is language, right? So this name, and in send keys, I'm gonna give dense, DANSK. So if I give dense, it should select DA. See, it has not selected any value. See? Even there is no exception. Oh, I got exception right now. See what exception is? Element not visible exception. Element not interactable exception. Is it because the language name is not visible or what? If I try to use some XPath, or maybe the ID of this element, maybe there could be more than one language. Let's see. So $$ attribute name equal to language. See, there are two elements. The first one was a hidden element. So that is the reason, I mean, when we say find element, it tries to find the very first element on the page, right? And the first one was hidden, so we got an exception that element not visible, so it is not interactable. So instead of using this, I can also use this, but there is some additional approach that I need to follow in order to use this name, right? Or I can make a unique XPath as well. But for the rhyming, I'll use ID. So I believe ID is unique. Let's run it. And see, it has selected DA. But at times it happens, I mean, you may give some value and it may select a different value. So there's an option ST, or English, or Espanol, or, I mean, let me try to give some other values as well. Because this, when you are handling drop-down list with send keys, it is not 100% accurate. See what it has selected? ES. And ES is for Espanol, right? It's not for ST, but we have given over here as ST. So this is what happens. I mean, 90% of the time send keys works fine, but at times, let's say there is a value called as English US. There's a value called as English UK. So at times you have given this value, it may select English US as well. Because send keys is like you're typing on this drop-down list. So if you type H, it will select values related to H, right? And if you keep on typing, it keep on changing the value. So it tries to match the exact value, but typing is not 100% accurate. This is not input box. This is a select box. So what we need to do whenever we are working with a drop-down list, make sure don't use these send keys. So like the tag name suggests, select, there is a class in WebDriver API. In order to handle this select tag, there's a class called as select. So you need to create an object of select class. Select equal to new select. If I show you this class is over here. Go to seleniumhq.org. Go to download Java document. And here you're gonna find the class with the name select. So it should be down over here. It's this is select. It's a class, right? So it models a select tag, providing helper methods to select and deselect options. So if you go down, there's a constructor summary, as in whenever you create an object of this class, you need to provide the web element that you are handling through this select class. So web element, as in if I import it, you need to make sure, see, when we are importing the classes, at times we may see two import options. So this is from a different library. The first one is from a different library. We want it from Selenium, so we'll be selecting the second import. And then it asks you to give the web element. Web element is your drop-down element. You can either copy this ID of this drop-down and give it over here like this, or you can store it into a web element drop-down equal to driver.find element by.id this, and give first import web element and then give this drop down over here like this. So now this select class belongs to this drop down list. Now if you look at the method summary, there are a couple of methods given for selecting and deselecting these options. Options are the values. So you can select an option by visible text. So you can say select by visible text, and you need to give the text, exact text, as st. So if I run this now, this will not going to select Espanol like ES. It will going to select ET. See, it has selected ET, right? So this is how this select class is 100% accurate. And at times it may happen that instead of selecting the values that we see in English, we may need to select a different language like this, like this, like this, or like this. This is a Hindi language. If I click on this, it shows HI. So now, how are you going to select a different language? We cannot type that language over here, right? So it's again a standard HTML. If you look at these values are inside option tag, and against all these values, see, these are text, right? This is text. Against all this text, there's a value attribute where the value will always be in English. Again, this is a standard HTML. Whichever website you see, you're going to find for the select tag, the values will always be inside option tag, and against the text, there's a value attribute which will always be in English. Whichever website you navigate, see, select value and the value attribute, and the values are always in English. So same way over here as well, if in case you want to select Hindi, the value is HI. So instead of select by visible text, you can also say select by value, or select by index as well. Index, as in if you give the index as 0, it will going to select the very first value. So right now I'm going to do it with value. I'll give the value as HI, and I'll run this and see if it will gonna select that HI or not. So see, it has selected the value as Hindi, right? So this is how you will be selecting values from a drop-down list. Now, the next thing, I want to find out how many total values are there inside this drop-down list, and want to find the total count of all the values. right? I mean, I want to find the count of all the values, plus I want to print all the values. So how many total values are there in this drop-down list? Plus I want to print all the values in my console. So how are we going to do that? Now, in order to get anything from the web page, the method starts from get. If you look over here, there's a method called as get options. So what get options will gonna do? It will return us all the options from this drop down list, from this select list, right? But using this method, I can easily achieve like all the option tags from this, like it all options belonging to this select tag. So I can retrieve all the values from this select tag, all the options from this selected easily from this get options. But at times it may happen, let's assume there is no method provided for it. Because the next assignment that I'm going to give it to you is to find total links on this page. For getting total options, we have a method called as get option in this library. But to get all links on this page, to find all the count of links on this page, to print all text of the links on this page, there is no as such method inside this WebDriver library. So if the method is not there, then you need to add your own logic in order to achieve this task. So that is what I'm saying. Let's assume there is no method for getting the count of values inside this drop-down list. So if there is no method, then we'll be creating that method on our own, right? So how are we going to do that? That is what we'll be looking at in our next lecture. All right. Thank you.